Hello, Lothar here, PCT Thru-Hiker 2021. This video is going to be on hiking the desert. I have been very fortunate to live in Southern California for the last 3 years, and I've been a section hiker for pretty much the first 500 miles of the PCT, both northbound and southbound. And because of that, I've been able to get acclimatized, or reasonably acclimatized, to desert hiking, and got a good sense of how much water I use and how much I need to carry. Now, obviously, people coming from Europe or from the East Coast who have never hiked in the desert before, be prepared. It can be a shock to your body and your system, and a lot of the time you may not feel it, but your body's reacting to that heat. So obviously use your gut hooks on your app to look at your water reports and know what the water is. If you've done preparation, which I hope you have a feel for what your general water usage is when you're hauling kit. And the advice that I've read in various, you look at various websites and YouTube channels. If you're planning to hike from the southern terminus to Hauser Creek, that's normally the most common sort of distance people are doing. That's about 18 miles. Other people go a bit further, go up to Lake Morena and camp there. But that first section there, if the weather forecast is saying it's going to be sunny and hot, check which water is valid. Now, this year I was very fortunate that there is a trail angel at the terminus who is just giving advice and updates, and he'll be able to tell you, or he or she will be able to tell you what the status of the nearby water sources are. Now, you've got to make the decision about how much you're going to carry. Now, water is heavy. Now, if you're going to carry water all the way through to Lake Morena, you might need 5 or 6 litres, depending on if you're unacclimatized. Now, I was acclimatized. I only needed 3. Now, that's I was also hiking smartly. I was hiking early in the morning. I took a siesta at the hottest part of the day, and I finished the climb up to Lake Morena in the early evening. So again, you've got to make decisions about not how much water you're carrying, how you're going to hike in a desert. Now, I saw people carrying at one point 6 and 7 litres. Now that's a huge amount of weight to carry. Now, it just so happened at that particular time, the 2 water sources on that section were fine. They were available. There was water there. So the argument would be, don't carry water unnecessarily. Obviously, you're going to have concerns and fears about hiking in the desert for the first time. You want to make sure you've got insurance, but don't go over the top. But bear in mind that if the trail angel at the start is saying that water's flowing well, and you can reasonably rely on it, you're not going to find that all the water sources, if all the water reports suddenly say, oh, they're flowing well, and you arrive there and none of them, that's highly unlikely. So don't always over carry water. The other thing is when you get to a water source, obviously camel up. That basically means drink as much as you can, and that means that then for the next hour and a half or whatever, you won't need to drink the water that you're carrying, and then again, it means you carry less for that next section. Obviously, have sun coverage. Now, I use a sun umbrella. Now, I've hiked in the desert for 3 or 4 years. I found the sun umbrella is a great way of just taking the edge of the heat off. It just reduces your sweating that little bit. The water usage is reduced. And another thing that I found again through hiking over the years is that certain times of the day in the desert you actually get a nice breeze, and if you're able to hike during those particular conditions, again your water usage can actually reduce. So there's a hiking smart, get up early. Obviously don't get up at 10 o'clock in the morning, because that's going to be the start of the hottest part of the day, which I did see some hikers do, and expecting to continue to hike through the desert without suffering a lot. Make sure you're carrying water, make sure you're carrying electrolytes. Now, that's just normally you'll get electrolytes through your normal food and salt and things you consume, but you can also have electrolytes added to your water. Again, try the ones you like, try the flavors you like. Don't overly think water. Just be careful, plan it, take advice from the people on trail, but if you find yourself carrying 5 or 6 litres regularly in the desert, not just on the first sections but subsequent sections, then I'd say just change your style of hiking, or to explore maybe going through the night, or later much earlier in the morning, or much later in the day, because the only time I carried more than 4 litres was me going up to Cajon, from Cajon Junction up to Wrightwood. Now, other people who were not familiar with the desert carrying 6 litres, and they found that was just enough for them, but they needed those 6 litres. And so there are some sections where you need it. They need water, and there's very little water sources available. But check the water reports. If there's clearly water sources along your route, check the status of them, and plan on the occasion that each time you get there, you're going to camel up, and then carry water to the next 1 or 2 sections, next 1 or 2 water sources. Just want to make sure you're not carrying 6 litres or 12-13 pounds of additional weight when 2 miles later there's a water source. Think smartly and hike smartly. Hope that's helpful to you. See you in the next video.